Alright, when solving for an angle with a problem like this, notice they gave us two angles inside of the triangle. We're missing this one that's in the orange. We are going to need to find that angle in order to do some work. And then we have this other exterior angle here on the outside. And our goal is to solve for this missing angle in here that I got highlighted orange. But we're going to use some information in order to determine how to approach this. First, I need you to remember that and note that the exterior angle is equal to the sum of the two non-adjacent angles within the triangle. In other words, this angle on the outside is going to be equal to these two interior angles, right, that are not adjacent. Adjacent would mean the one that's missing. So we're going to go ahead and take these two angles and set them, we're going to add them together and set them equal to this exterior angle, because by that rule, they are going to be equal. So let's go ahead and let's write them out. So what I have here, in the pink, I have 14x plus 4 plus 42, because we're just adding all these together, these two expressions, and we're going to set that equal to 28x plus 4. So that's our first step, is we create this equation based on that information. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to solve for x. So that's going to be the first thing we need to do. So I'm going to put around here step 1. Solve for x. Now I'm going to go ahead and draw a line down my equal sign so I can remember to keep both sides of my equation balanced. And what I want to do before I start moving anything is combine any like terms. And I notice that I have these two terms right here, positive 4 and positive 42, and I can combine those. If I take 4 and I add it to 42, it'll give me 46. So I'm going to write that down real quick. So that becomes 46, and it's a positive value. I'm also going to just bring down the 14x, because I like keeping everything lined up all nice and neat, so I can see each term to make sure I don't forget to add something or subtract something. Now the next step is I want to go ahead and I want to move my variables to the left. So I'm going to write that over here. Variables to the left. Now the way I can move my variable to the left is I can move this 28 over by doing the inverse operation, which is the opposite of what is occurring here. Here this is a positive 28x. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract 28x. And I'm going to do that on both sides so we can keep it balanced. Now that cancels on this side. Right over here, basically this equals 0. So we now have 0 x's on the right. And then when I go ahead and put together 14 and negative 28, I want to make sure that I don't mess up on the math. So I'm going to throw it in my calculator. So I'll do positive 14. Notice that I'm not going to put the x in there. I'm just putting the number. And then I'm going to say plus negative 28. So we're going to combine those two terms. And notice it gives me negative 14. So I'm going to put an arrow here. I'm going to write it just a little bit lower. So let me move down my camera just a little bit. And this is going to be negative 14x. Alright, so now what I want to do is I want to move my constant value, that's the number without the variable, over to the right side of the equation. So I'm going to do the opposite of what's happening. They're adding right here, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract. Now that zeroes it out on this side. It becomes 0 for my constant value. But then I got to subtract 46 over here. And we'll use my calculator to do that math. So I have 4 plus negative 46. And it gives me negative 42. So we're almost done. My final step in solving for x is I want to isolate the variable. Notice this variable has a negative 14 in front of it. That's its coefficient. So I want to go ahead and get rid of this negative 14. And the way I'm going to do that is by dividing by negative 14. Now I am going to do that to both sides, again, so we can keep this balanced. And the only thing left now is just simply 1x. So I'll put x is equal to, this will go into itself one time, giving me a positive 1x. And over here, negative 42 divided by 14. I'm going to put that in my calculator. Negative 42 divided by 14. Or I should say negative 14. And it gives me positive 3. So this right here becomes positive 3. So now we know that x is equal to 3. Now, why that doesn't necessarily tell me the angle. It does tell me what x is equal to. And this one didn't say solve for x. It said to go ahead and give them the angle that's missing. We want to solve for this angle. So in other words, this angle right here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to substitute this 3 back in place of x in this expression, and then create an equation so that I can determine what this other angle is here. So let me go ahead and do that right quick. I'm going to rewrite this. So let me go box this real fast. And I'm going to write step 2. Use x to find angle. So we're going to use x to find the angle. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm looking at this. I recognize that if I went from one side of the triangle all the way over to the other, that would be a straight angle, right? Because all straight lines are considered a straight angle, and they are equivalent to 180 degrees. So in other words, this whole angle is 180 degrees. But I only know what half of the angle is, right? What I say not half, but what part of the angle is, right? Because if I substitute 3 for this x, I can figure out what this one is over here. And once I figure out what this one is, I can simply take that number and subtract it from 180, and whatever is left over is this part over here that I'm trying to find. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set this up real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and write 28. Actually, let me just rewrite the whole thing. 28x plus 4. Now, what I need to do before I go any further, I'm just going to go ahead at this point, and I'm going to replace the x with a set of parentheses, and I'm going to put the value we got for x, which is 3. So I'm going to put a 3 in place of x. So really I have 28 times 3 plus 4, and that's going to give me this angle right here, this exterior angle. So let me put that in a calculator. We'll let it do the work. So 28 parenthesis 3 plus 4, and it tells me that it's 88. So this right here is equal to 88. Now that's important because that tells me that angle is 88 degrees. I'm going to highlight it real quick. This yellow angle is 88. So right here, this is 88 degrees. Now what I'm going to do is, I know that the whole thing, the whole angle is 180. So I'm going to go ahead and write 180 minus this 88 degrees, 8, because that angle is 88. That's my yellow angle. And when I subtract it, it's going to give me my orange angle, the one that we are trying to find, right here. So let's go ahead and let's get the calculator real quick. And we're going to go ahead and put in 180 minus our angle of 88. And notice it's 92 degrees. So 92. Therefore, this angle that's in here, this orange one that we were looking for, is 92 degrees. And that's how you find a missing angle when you're given a problem like this.